We begin with the fresh portion after the P1 till term 1. 2 units are there from the main reader. So we begin with first the main reader, as we have finished the prior portions, entire lecture, like even the grammar portion has been covered. So now today we will read a story, The Ashes That Made the Trees Bloom. Ashes are something, the leftovers after we burn wood. How can ashes help a tree to bloom is the question. So, if you need to know the essence of the story, firstly you need to believe in humanity, in kindness and in magic also. There is nothing in this world named as magic, but there is magic where these attributes are involved in life. If you're kind to somebody, if you're loving, if you're giving in nature, what comes back to you is also a kind of magic. So here's a story of an old couple, and let's see how their kindness fetches them something good in life. They don't do it for fetching goodness, but yes, it does come back when they do good. We start with page number 55. I will be giving you answers after each and every explanation till wherever I cover. You mark them in the textbook, and if something is extra, you write it in the textbook. This is a story about an honest and hard-working old couple and their pet dog. The neighbors are troublesome, and the day the dog dies a sad death. The spirit of the dog gives solace and support to his master in unexpected ways. If you are loving and kind, no matter what, whom you show the kindness to, they return the kindness to you. But you should be doing it without any kind of greed in your heart that I am doing this because I want something in return. So here's a story of a dog. Let's see what happens. In the good old days of the Daimos, there lived an old couple whose only pet was a little dog. Now Daimos is at that time very rich landowners used to be there, like you call in your Hindi zamindars. So we're talking about that particular era. Having no children, they loved it as though it were a baby. The old dame made it a cushion of blue crepe, and at mealtime, Muko, for that was its name, would sit on it as snug as any cat. The old dame over here is, we're calling the old lady over here dame, and she had made a cushion out of crepe material for the dog, and the dog would sit on it like a cat sits, all curling up. The kind people fed the pet with tidbits of fish. The kind people fed the pet with tidbits of fish from their own chopsticks and all the boiled rice it wanted. So they eat with chopsticks. So they never thought that you're feeding a dog. They used to take the chopstick and pick up a piece of fish and put it in its mouth, and all the rice also what it wanted to eat. Thus treated, the dumb creature loved its protectors like being with a soul. So he was so attached to them because they were so loving to him. The old man, being the rice farmer, went daily with hoe or spade into the fields, working hard from morning until Tentosama, as the sun is called, had gone down behind the hills. Though he was an old man, he never withdrew from hard work. Hard work was there in his blood. He used to work right from dawn to dusk. Because they did not have children, so they had to work on their own. Every day the dog followed him to work. Never once the white heron that walked in the footsteps of the old man to pick up the worm. Harming the white heron that walked in the footsteps of the old man to pick up the worms. Now there was a bird which used to pick up the worms but it never harmed any bird. Usually when you see dogs and creatures and cats creeping along, they go and pounce on the bird and eat them. But the dog did not do anything of the sort. For the old fellow was patient and kind to everything that had life, and often turned up a sword or purpose to give food to the birds. So he used to bring food and feed the living creatures which he came across. That was the old man's speciality. He was kind to every living creature around him. One day the dog came running to him, putting his paws against his legs and motioning with his head to some spot behind. So the dog came running, kept his paws on the stomach, and then he was like trying to tell the owner to reach some place. The old man at first thought his pet was only playing and did not mind it. But the dog kept on whining and running to and fro for some minutes. Now whining is the typical sound which the dog makes. So it was whining and running very frantically from one place to another. Then is when the old man thought, why is the dog acting like this? So then is when he paid interest over there. What is the problem with the dog? Then the old man followed the dog a few yards to a place where the animal began a lively scratching. So he ran to the place where he immediately began to dig something, scratch something with his paws so that he can show the man that please dig over here something, you need to find out something. Thinking it was possibly a buried bone or a bit of fish. Now, typical of animals that they would go and firstly search for food. So the old man also thought that he is searching for food. The old man struck his hoe in the earth. Hoe is a tool which is used in agriculture. So he struck immediately to see what is it the dog is worried about. When lo, a pile of gold gleamed before him. So what the dog was trying to do is, he was trying to lead his master to a place where gold was hidden. So he, as soon as he started lightly scratching over there, and this person also joined with the hoe, then he saw a pile of gold over there. Thus in an hour, the old couple were made rich. They did not have much in the family, in the house, but when you find a pile of gold, you become rich. The good souls brought a piece of land, made a feast for their friends, and gave plentifully to their poor neighbors. Now, if somebody finds something and become rich instantaneously, you should have the heart also to distribute a part of whatever you've got, to donate what a part of you've got to others as well. Everybody doesn't have that bigger heart. But this old couple not only kept things for themselves, they also gave to their poor neighbors. As for the dog, they petted him till they nearly smothered him with kindness. They totally were giving away their love and kindness because they were more than happy that because of the dog, they could gain that pile of gold. They pampered him like hell. Now in the same village there lived a wicked old man and his wife, not a bit sensitive and kind, who had always kicked and scolded all dogs whenever any passed their house. Now these were the anti of this old couple. They were totally insensitive. They never ever did anything kind to the animals which were around, especially dogs. They chased them away wherever they found them. Hearing of their neighbor's good luck, they coaxed the dog into their garden and set before him bits of fish and other dainties, hoping he would find treasure for them. Now they somehow managed to bring the dog, to give him food, and they lured him, they attracted him, and then they brought him in their area and they threw in front of him fish and all little nice delicacies, nice food, so that they would take the dog on their side. Their intentions were not good. But the dog, being afraid of the cruel pair, would neither eat nor move. Dogs are very sensitive as well as sensible animals. They know who likes them and they know whom to be far away from. Then they dragged him out of the doors, taking a spade and hoe with them. Now you know what are their intentions. They want the dog to find for them also the pile of gold. No sooner had the dog got near a pine tree growing in the garden than he began to paw and scratch the ground. Again he started digging, the dog started digging with his paws, as if there was a mighty treasure that lay beneath. So the same action he had done earlier also, at that time the pile of gold had appeared. But this time, let's see whether they're lucky enough. Quick, wife, hand me the spade and hoe, cried the greedy old fool as he danced with joy. Then the covetous old fellow with the spade and the old crone with the hoe began to dig, but there was nothing but a dead kitten, the smell of which made them drop their tools and shut their noses. Now spade, covetous over here is a very greedy person, okay? Crone over here we are telling the old woman, okay? And then spade is again one gardening tool. When they started digging frantically over there, very speedily, to see what has the dog discovered, they found nothing but a dead kitten. And if you would unearth a dead kitten, that foul smell will drive you nuts. So they had to literally shut their noses. Furious at the dog, they got very angry at the dog. The old man kicked and bent him to death, and the old woman finished the work by nearly chopping off his head with the sharp hoe. Imagine that cruelty over here. The dog did not find them gold, that's why they killed it. Not only killed it, she chopped off almost its head. They then flung him into the hole and heaped the earth over his carcass. The hole which they had dug to find out what is there under the earth, they put the carcass, the dead body of the animal over there only, and then covered it with soil. We'll stop over here, and in the next lecture I will be teaching you the rest. Thank you.